What's good, Ryan Names? Thanks for joining the stream. I appreciate you coming on. Yeah, we're gonna chop it up. Africa's rising. Blessings, Troy. Thanks for joining the stream. Peace. I'm just sharing it with the family, and then I'll start the topic. All right. Trying to invite some more guys in so we can chop it up. All right. Peace and blessings. You've joined us live. Let me kill that music. Yeah. Today is the 24th of October 2019. A very, very hot day here in Australia. Oh my goodness. It's we're in the middle of spring, and it's already 30 degrees today. We might have a cool day tomorrow. So yeah, summer is coming, baby. It's gonna get hot. All right, so yeah, a lot has been happening since my last stream. You know, Africa's rising. Okay, there's been a lot of talk about France, the colonizer. Okay, and how, you know, if you are a religious African, okay, if you ascribe yourself to the religious teachings of the Bible, okay, you are being colonized by the European. All right, so you know, as Africa is rising, okay, you see that Europe is falling. Europe is going down. You hear all the noise about the Brexit. You know, the United States have tried their imperialism. It doesn't work. Everywhere they go, they create chaos. Okay, in Somalia, they went there, they created chaos. You know, they were involved in taking out all the major African heads of state in the 60s, the assassination. And just recently, okay, they tried it with, actually they destroyed Libya, okay, under Barack Obama, our very own. Okay, and Hillary, okay, they destroyed Libya, creating a lot of chaos in North Africa. They went to Syria, but guess what? Russia's Putin is not going to have it, okay, because Syria is Russia's only access to the Mediterranean Sea, and Russia is going to do everything possible to protect its assets or her assets. So you see major moves by Vladimir Putin, okay, you know, just basically disturbing the efforts of the Americans and the allies and what they wanted to do in the in the Middle East, pertaining to Syria. And the whole idea was to destabilize Syria, okay, so they could build a pipeline from Saudi Arabia into Europe, okay, bypassing Russia. All right, and Russia is not going to have that, okay. We know this is the reason why, okay. Russia is one country that I would say is a superpower on its own with its, arsenal, military arsenal and weaponry, okay. They're able to protect themselves, okay. A population of 140 million people, they're able to protect themselves and even be on the offensive if they would, and also serve as a power balance to the efforts of the United States, okay, the evil regime of the United States. So we see what's happening in the Middle East. Recently, the United States decided to pack up and leave Syria because they couldn't do much than create chaos. Okay, they funded the rebel group fighting against Assad. Okay, they funded all of that, ISIS. Okay, they went into Iraq. They left all the war machines and weapons and vehicles and whatnot. Okay, ISIS just grabbed it. Okay, and took it to invade Syria. But thanks to the efforts of Russia. Okay, even my own country, Australia, was part of it in destabilizing Syria. Okay, and several times they tried to provoke war against Russia, but Vladimir Putin, being a master planner, master, technician, okay, at what he does, a former KGB agent, he's very, very intelligent and he knows exactly what he's doing. So he's won favor amongst his people and support. He's got a lot of support from his people and he's still in power. So Russia is able to stabilize the region, okay, single-handedly. All right, where we have Europe and all other nations trying to destabilize Syria, only for the purpose of building a pipeline through Syria into Europe to bypass trading with Russia. So currently, Europe gets its main energy source from Russia, and they don't want to keep doing that. So that's why they try the war, in Syria, but it didn't work. Okay, and recently the U.S. moved out, okay, and created a power vacuum. The so-called Kurds, they're a terrorist group. They are a rebel group. Okay, Turkey does not recognize them. They're inside Turkey. Turkey doesn't recognize them. Okay, and Turkey is moving in to take their own territory. So the power vacuum is left, okay, and Russia quickly moved in, to stabilize things. So I mean, Putin is creating, making major moves, okay, making major moves, and I respect Russia for that purpose, that or for the fact that they do not go invading other parts of the world in search of natural resources. Russia already has a ton of natural resources that it can make a ton of money from. So we're seeing how Russia and China are and Iran and Syria, and now Turkey as well. So if Russia and Iran, Russia and Turkey can be, allies, okay, they would have major, hold on the economic affairs of what's happening in the eastern part of what I'll call Northeast Africa. All right. So now news news now, okay, that Russia is making major moves in Africa. Like Russia has been involved in Africa for so long. We know the history. The history goes back thousands of years when the Egyptian Empire, extended all the way into Georgia. Okay, so Russia has a deep, deep, deep history with Africa. You know, and we know during the freedom liberation fights, for independence, Russia was really involved. Especially we know that of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and stuff like that. And the Americans were very heavily against it, so they went on destabilizing. The same thing they did in the past, they're doing it now. Okay, so this is nothing new. But I am very, very. I welcome the Russia-Africa, relationship coalition. I would say it's benefited a whole lot of Africans than the Western relationship, like the European and American relationship with Africa. All right, so Russia held or is holding the Africa Summit, first ever Africa Summit, Africa Russia Summit, dating from the 23rd. Today's the 24th, so from yesterday to the 24th, so which is today. So it welcomed all Africa's heads of states. Okay, all 54 heads of states, or 55, whichever number it is, the number of countries in Africa, as one single entity. Okay, that's the African Union. Okay, right behind me. Okay, the African Union flag right behind me. So the whole world sees Africa as one entity. Okay, this is where we promote Pan-Africanism. This is why we need to promote unity amongst one another, because believe it or not, okay, it's only through unity that we can actually build, and it's the future. Everybody sees it. The whole world sees it. Okay, that Africa is the future. Okay, but a divided Africa is not what's going to take us there. Okay, a divided Africa will continue the exploitation of Africa. All right, so I'm very, very excited about this Africa Summit. Okay, for the first ever in history. Okay, Russia is making major moves. Okay, in placing a foothold on the African continent. Okay, not in terms of colonization, but in partnership. Okay, Russia has decided to increase trade. Okay, trade relations with Africa times 3. Currently, Russia Africa trade generates about $10 billion, but Russia wants to triple that. Actually, they want to triple it to about 30 billion plus. Okay, and so far it's China that's trading the most with Africa and generating more economic development with Africa. So you can see that all the African economies are rising only because there is a new scramble for Africa. Okay, but in 2019, it's not as it was 100 years ago, where Europeans go and take, because everyone is highly educated now. Okay, we all know that the internet has exposed so many things now, and it's only France now is the stumbling block now, the epic colonizer of Africa. So if we Africans can get rid of France, okay, get rid of the French language, okay, adopt Swahili, okay, and that's the purpose of the African Union, to promote Swahili as the the continental language for all Africans. Sun Temple, thanks for joining the stream. Africa is working with China. I also believe that Africa should work more with Russia and the country of Iran. Yeah, that's true. I mean, Russia, China, Iran have a coalition. They do have a coalition, and basically they're the same people that we're dealing with. Okay, so you have a Russia, China, Iran alliance that we Africa is actually working with. So you can see that that's what's actually benefiting Africa, not what Europe and the United States or Canada is doing with Africa. So yeah, Neymar, thanks for joining the stream. I haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, much love to you, sister. Yeah, so the Africa Summit, okay, Russia Africa Summit, first ever, okay, October 23rd to 24th. and I'm here to let you know the good news that's happening on the continent. Okay, Africa is rising. Okay, it's only through unity that we can do this. Okay, and it's Pan-Africanism. All right, Pan-Africanism. All right, so I do have some articles that I wanted to share. There's an article from africannews.com. Okay. Um, uh, Vladimir Putin congratulates Abiy Ahmed for promoting peace, okay, and stability in the Horn of Africa. We know that ever since Abiy Ahmed took office, okay, there's been a lot of development in Ethiopia and around the region. Okay, Dr. Mumbi has a lot of negative things to say or about Abiy Ahmed and everybody else, I suppose. But I remain positive. Okay, I promote unity, and because it's only unity. Okay, even if you're a religious person, your Bible tells you that in Genesis chapter 11, I think 1 to 9, it tells you that behold, the people are one. They are one language. They are united. Okay. Nothing they set their mind to, okay, cannot be achieved. They can achieve everything. The united people can do anything, basically everything. So much that every time that God, even the religious God, had to come in contact with African people, only has to be with destruction. Why is a group of people united, okay, doing their own thing, advancing civilization, and God thinks is a bad thing, that he must go there and destroy them and confound their their voices and languages, so that may not understand one another? Okay, sounds like white supremacy to me. Okay, that verse alone in the Bible tells me that God didn't write this Bible; it's human that wrote this Bible, just to keep your mind colonized, right? To keep your mind colonized. So we have to see beyond this. We have to see past this in 2019, okay, and promote Pan-Africanism, okay, to tackle the issues of the future. And it's the prediction, okay. Africa is the future. Everyone wants a part of Africa. Since time, okay, Africa has been feeding the world in terms of knowledge, food, material things, everything. All right. So without much ado, I am going to go into these articles. Okay. Let's see. I want to say, thank you to my new subscribers as well. I appreciate you, all of you, supporting the channel, and my, supporters, existing subscribers. They supported the channel. We are growing. Okay, 600. We passed 600 subscribers now. So, yeah, thank you so much. I would love to hit 1,000 by the end of the year, for the sole purpose of going on live streams on my my mobile phone to bring you live events that happen around, especially in summer here in Australia. There's a lot of live events. So 1,000 subscribers will take me or give me the ability to stream live. So yeah, support the channel. Okay, if you're new, please subscribe, like the stream. Okay, share with your friends and family. All right. So without much ado, I'm gonna go. And later on, I can invite some people to come through. Okay, so hang in there if you like to jump in and talk about Pan-Africanism or whatever. Okay, we can talk about it. All right, so I'm gonna go to these articles. Okay. So share screen. So I've got an article from africannews.com. Okay. Let's see. Bear with me for a sec. All right, sounds good. All right. So we got africannews.com. Okay. Let's see here. Russia, Africa, Putin congratulates Ethiopia PM. calls for more trade. Okay, so like I stated before, this was a source from Dutch Welle. Russia is set to triple its trade with Africa. Okay, so you can see all the economies of Africa rising. Okay, nearly all the countries are about 6% per annum. Okay, whereas other countries are rising at 1%. I mean, like the United States and even Australia. Okay, our economy is slowing down, but Africa is rising at 8% per year to 11% a year. Same as India. Okay, so I mean, a lot of things are changing. Okay, a lot of things are changing, and before you realize it, in the next 10, 20 years, you will see that Africa would definitely, be a major force to reckon with. And it's all in the people, and we all know that people power. Okay, people are the power. Okay, we are the power. Okay, so yeah. So this article from africanews.com: Russia, Africa, Putin congratulates Ethiopia PM Abiy Ahmed, calls for more trade. Okay, so 11 hours ago, close to 50 African leaders were expected to be in Russia's Black Sea city of Sochi for the first ever Russia-Africa Forum, the Kremlin announced weeks back. So the forum, expected to run between October 23rd to 24th, event is part of Moscow's ambitious push for influence and business in Africa. Okay, so mind you, Russia has always been doing business with Africa, especially providing education. A lot of Africans got a lot of education from Russia, medical aid, and infrastructure, machinery, and stuff like that. Okay, and we kind of forget arms deals and weaponry. Okay, we know that the war that's going on in Congo. Okay, all these countries are involved. The United States, Belgium, UK, France, they're all involved. Even the UN is in there, and Russia is actually supporting, and supplying arms, and ammunitions to all these factions fighting, to gain control of the Congo. So we know what's going on there. So here's a rundown of the events happening at the historic summit. Russia-Egypt economic cooperation. Free trade deal is good for Africa. Putin congratulates Ethiopia PM. List of African leaders at summit. So I'm not going to run through the leaders, but maybe a few. So focus on Russia-Egypt economic cooperation. The Russian and Egyptian leaders reiterated their commitment to develop ongoing projects in the North African country. The projects include the construction of the El Daba nuclear power plant and Russian industrial zone in Egypt. I have something against nuclear power plants. Okay, we all know what happened to the meltdown in Chernobyl. Okay, we don't want that to happen in Africa. Okay, already we're hearing talks of how China had buried some nuclear waste in the desert in the Sudan. Okay, we don't want that. Okay, nuclear, the other ways. Okay, Africa has been blessed with abundant sunlight. Why can't Africans, utilize the sun? Okay, so much that our ancestors even worship the sun as a deity. Why can't we utilize the power of the sun to generate electricity for every African? There's no reason why every home in Africa should not have solar panels. We do not need nuclear plants in Africa, right? Okay, I'll move on. I am talking about investments of $190 million in the development of infrastructure and attracting up to $7 billion, Putin said, emphasizing his country's commitment to investing in Africa. Regarding the Russian industrial zone, we are very interested in finding solutions to all the unresolved issues surrounding this project, that Russian companies and businesses can come, get registered, and start operating in this zone. Egypt's Abdel Fattah el-Sisi said. In May last year, the two leaders signed a 50-year agreement to build a Russian industrial zone east of Port Said as part of the new Suez Canal economic zone. Okay, so we know that I think in the 1930s, the United States and Europe wanted to take control of the Suez Canal when they nationalized the Suez. When Egypt nationalized the Suez Canal, they invaded Egypt. Okay, they needed a loan to build a dam, the Aswan Dam. They rejected the loan. The United States rejected. Britain and all these people rejected, and it was Russia and China that came in to give Egypt loans. So the relationship with Russia and China, it goes back a long, long, long time. Right. So in May last year, the two leaders signed a 50-year agreement to build a Russian industrial zone east of Port Said as part of the new Suez Canal economic zone. All right. So Ramaphosa hails Africa free trade deal. So South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa told Russia that the recently ratified Continental Free Trade Agreement presents an opportunity for African countries to participate with Russia in a meaningful way. I don't know what that means, but I guess in context, trade, right? So the president, who was meeting Russia's Putin on the sidelines of the summit, said his country remained committed to the strategic relationship between the two countries. Last year, our trade turnover increased by 28.5%, reaching $1 billion. But of course, now where am I? But of course, this is not enough, Putin told Ramaphosa. Okay, so yeah. Now, Putin wants to increase that. I stated before, Putin wants to increase Africa trade to over $30 billion. All right. This is not only sufficient given the broad range of relations between Russia and the continent of Africa. The figures are too small. We can do much more, and I hope our contacts. Keeps jumping. I hope our contacts today will give good momentum to this development. Also, I have a comment here. Troy Desol. I did not know that China buried nuclear waste in Africa. I believe that all African countries should create strict environmental laws for all these foreigners coming into the land that are polluting. Yeah, the whole issue is Africa does not have strong governmental policies and systems, so much that the African governments are seen as weak. Okay, nobody wants to listen to African leaders. Nobody wants to pay any attention to them. So much that even during the UN summit, the recent UN summit, okay, the African leaders were speaking to an empty auditorium. Nobody wants to pay attention to them just because the African leaders are weak. When you have a leader like Cyril Ramaphosa who doesn't seem like he cares about anything, okay, so far I know the only if you follow my channel for a while, you would see, even going back, since last year, I've always been keen in talking about Abiy Ahmed. He's the only person as African heads of state that I hold at high esteem. Even the Ghanaian president, with all his words, big words in English and French or whatever, okay, it's such a disappointment. Okay, he's a puppet to the French government and the British. So there's only one, and I think the Namibian president as well, Hage Geingob. Okay, he seems to be one of the solid African heads of states, and the Egyptian president as well, Fattah el-Sisi. So the political environment in Africa is not as strong, and these politicians make the decisions for us. Okay, so it's very, very necessary that we have very, very strong politicians that have African agenda in mind, and not to forget the Rwandan president as well, Paul Kagame. Okay, one of the strongest African leaders out there, who actually promotes a lot of the Pan-African movements and efforts and stuff like that. And we saw how Rwanda started manufacturing their own mobile phones. Okay, and now they've opened a second factory in South Africa. Okay, this is what Africa is doing. Africa is rising, and Africa can only rise with great leaders. All right, so I proceed. All right, I proceed. List of African leaders at oh hey, sorry. Our trade turnover volume is too small and it's not adequate for Russia or Ethiopia. It goes without saying that we should, and I hope we will make it greater than it is today. Okay, so Abiy thanked Russia for helping Ethiopia. Abiy thanked Russia for helping Ethiopia resist colonization and said his country is keen on strengthening cooperation with Russia. Yeah, so like I stated before, Russia is a power balance, okay, on this planet against the imperialists, okay. List of African heads of states or leaders at Russia summit, okay, so over 20 African presidents, vice presidents, prime ministers, and other government representatives are currently in Sochi as the forum starts. Amongst them are Alpha Conde of Guinea, Felipe Nyusi of Mozambique, Muhammadu Buhari of Nigeria, Cyril Ramaphosa, Peter Mutharika of Malawi, Ibrahim Boubacar Keita of Mali, Theodoro Obiang Nguema of Equatorial Guinea, and the list goes so on and on. Okay, even Yoweri Museveni is there as well. Paul Kagame is in Russia, which I expect him to be there. The Guinean president is in Russia. So I mean, like when it comes to Africa, okay, we have no okay, the current African leaders are telling the world that we favor nobody. Okay, we are willing to do business with everybody, which makes it very, very tricky. Okay, makes it very, very tricky and makes it hard for the traditional, or the conventional scramble for Africa, which happened in the 1884 and 1885, where you have Germany, France, you have Italy, you have Britain, Belgium, all these people, Portugal, all these people trying to, carve up Africa, and they successfully carved up Africa into like farmlands, pieces, and it's not what's happening this time. Okay, now Africa has, independence. Okay, and the only thing Africa is not independent of right now is Africa's economy. Okay, so now Africans are waking up, of course, due to the pressure put on them by the growing population of Africa. Okay, the young generation are not having it. Okay, they're not going to stand for coon leaders that will be bowing down to European imperialists. Okay, like Cyril Ramaphosa. That's one reason why I don't hold Cyril Ramaphosa in high regards, because he bows down too much. Okay, he seems like a very weak leader. But we have people like Paul Kagame who will not bow down to any European, leader or anybody else, So, Africa is now dictating terms, and will trade with anybody that wants to do business. So this is what we're seeing, right? So which is really fantastic. So you have all these African heads of states there, and this is how it should be, so that they don't go around in the corner and speak to one African leader and then go to another corner and speak to another African. These all African presidents are united, and this should tell you the state of affairs of Pan-Africanism. Okay, the state of affairs of the African Union. Okay, right. So all these countries are states in the African Union going into the future. All right. So we have even Emerson Mnangagwa, and I saw videos of it. Okay, the auditorium was packed. It was very big. It was a very, very big event. All right, very big event. All right, so yeah, and the list goes on and on. So So we have Osman Saleh, Eritrea Foreign Affairs Minister. So of course, what's his name? Isias Afwerki cannot be there, okay, because he's deemed as a dictator, and who knows what might happen if he goes. So we even have, I think we do have the Somali. Hage Genkob is there. Fayez Sarraj, Libya. Okay, he's instated. He was instated by the UN. Okay, and which a faction of Libya do not recognize, and they still fight. The war is still going on. Felix Tshisekedi of the Congo, okay, who's now the new president of Congo. So I mean, it's good to see these people here, especially the president of Congo, okay, the richest part of Africa. Okay, it's good to see him there and see how he can be influenced. Okay, because if everything is all right in the Congo, okay, the whole of Africa will eat. Okay, we will eat to our fill. Okay, if Congo is all right, because Congo, the wealth alone in Congo is enough for all of Africans to live a life of luxury, right? So yeah, and Paul Kagame is making major strides, you know, in taking a stronghold of the Congo, you know, making sure things are right in the Congo, and I applaud him for that. Okay, we need strong leaders who can do that. Okay, so going back to the finalizing the article, for Moscow, the prize is greater political influence on a continent with 54 United Nations member states, a sprawling mineral wealth, and potentially lucrative markets for Russian manufactured weapons. All right, so this is what is also going to spark Africa's rise to supremacy when Africa gets all these weapons. Okay, when we know in the past, okay, Europeans invaded Africa because Africans were chucking spears and arrows, whilst Europeans had cannons, right? Some Africans had guns. Like I know for a fact that in Ghana there are local gun manufacturers. We know people when the Songhai Empire was destabilized, we had a lot of people that migrated from the Songhai Empire, which were actually Berbers. He migrated down south, and it brought them with them, like the Ashantis and all these people migrated from the Songhai Empire. They came with gun manufacturing and a lot of industrial skills and stuff like that. So Africa used to manufacture their own weapons, but not to the the sophistication as Europeans. So it allowed the invasion of Africa and the conquering of Africa due to the lack of weapons. So Africa actually does need these weapons. Okay, we don't need the weapons to use it to fight ourselves, but also to fight our colonizers, our invaders, especially France. Because the way the situation right now is, France is basically there is French military presence in the Sahel. Okay, in the Sahel. And who knows, France is even funding Boko Haram and all these terrorist groups, or even creating the environment for them. So Africa actually needs weapons to fight these threats. And who knows, all these African countries who want to basically get rid of the French. Who knows who knows what's going to happen when France is no longer getting their wealth from Africa. They would like to invade, and France has a ton of weapons to invade. See what it did to Libya. Okay, and I actually have notes on why Muammar Gaddafi was taken out by the French and NATO. How the French strategized ways to invade Libya and get rid of Muammar Gaddafi. So if I do have time tomorrow, I'll come in and present that to you. Okay, but that's what happened. Okay, so when Africa decides to move forward, you will see all this military presence in Africa trying to tell you Africans that no, you can't move forward. Okay, we own you and stuff like that. But with these weapons, okay, so Russia is indeed a power balance in the world. Okay, if Africa can trade with China and Russia, okay, Africa will rise to supremacy within 20 years. Okay, within 20 years. B1 for life. Thanks for joining the stream. Blessings to you, family. Blessings. Yeah. So in conclusion, okay, the world's largest wheat exporter, Russia, is also looking to ramp up its supplies of grain and fertilizer to meet demand that is rising in step with Africa's booming population. So yeah, everyone is looking at Africa's booming population. Okay, by the year 2100, okay, Africa is estimated to be 4 billion people. 4 billion people. Okay, Africa's population is said to be about 20 by the year 2030, 2040, we're meant to be at over 2 billion people. Okay, that is a superpower. 2 billion people. Imagine half of that is educated, highly educated. Okay, so I mean, Russia is doing that, China is doing that at the moment. You know, our very friend Walter Maya studied in Russia, so I mean, in China and stuff like that. So I mean, the opportunity is there for Africa to improve. So yeah, that concludes that article. All right, so other, let me see, I do have another short one to read. We should say more about the Russia Africa Summit. Okay, go back in. Share the screen. All right, so yeah, this article is from Deutsche Welle. Okay, Vladimir Putin opens first ever Russia Africa Summit. The Russian president has welcomed thousands of African leaders to discuss politics and I'll take that again. So the Russian president has welcomed thousands of African leaders to discuss politics and business worth billions of dollars. As stated in the previous article, or when I was iterating that, it was Russia currently trades $10 billion. Okay, Russia wants to increase that to $30 billion. That's times 3. Okay, so we're going to be seeing more development in Africa. We're going to see the African economy rising. Okay, so unlike China, Putin has promised to refrain from political or other influences, which is BS, all right? Which is BS. Okay, Russia has always been involved in the politics of Africa. Okay, if you know African history, we know very well that Russia has always been involved. It's always, the Cold War even started because of that reason. Okay, the Cold War started because of that reason. Russia moving into Africa and influencing African politics. Okay, basically taking food from the mouth of the Americans and the Europeans. Okay, this is why the Cold War started. Okay, this is why all the African heads of states were eliminated in the 60s. Okay, we all know this, and it's still going on. Okay, so you can't tell me you're not involved in politics. Okay, they sway in politics, all right, and political decisions. So China is upfront. Okay, China is always upfront with its dealings with Africa and everywhere else. So yeah, Russia, they telling lies. Okay, that's a white lie here, right? So yeah. So here you have Russian President Vladimir Putin and Fatal el-Sisi of Egypt. Okay. Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, sorry. Russian President Vladimir Putin met with his Egyptian counterpart Abdel Fattah el-Sisi before the two leaders opened the first ever Russia-Africa Summit on Wednesday. The 2-day event will see more than 3,000 delegates from across Russia and Africa to discuss an array of topics from nuclear energy to mineral extraction. 3,000 is a lot. Okay, 3,000 is a lot. But I mean, I stated before again, okay, we do not need nuclear energy in Africa. Okay, we do not need nuclear energy in Africa. You have to deal with the toxic waste, okay, which you can't get rid of. Okay, there are plans of shipping toxic waste to space. okay, to basically to the moon and burying them in the moon and whatnot. But you know, if we end up destroying the moon, you know what's going to happen to the Earth as well. So nuclear waste is not safe anywhere. Okay, nuclear waste is not safe anywhere. They can remain, you know, dormant for hundreds of years, and even when they sip, they'll go into the oceans and destroy water and aquatic life and stuff like that. Okay, but Africa has a lot of sunlight, okay, which we can tap into. Solar panels. We can tap into solar panels. I don't know what these people are waiting for, right? So all Africa, all the, you know, elements need necessary for solar panel is in Africa. Silicon. We got tons and tons of silicon in Africa, you know, and we got sunshine. We got iron ore to make the frames. Everything we need for you know, for Africa is all in Africa. So much, and everything the world needs is in Africa. Why must we continue destroying our planet with all these things? And Africa should learn from what happened to Fukushima. Okay, all the nuclear meltdowns in Russia and stuff like that all over the world. Yeah, so all 54 African states sent a representative to so sorry, my computer wanted to restart. All 54 African states sent a representative to the meeting, including 43 heads of state or government, according to the Kremlin advisor Yuri Yushakov. We currently export to Africa 25 billion, so 22.5 billion US dollars worth of food, which is more than we export in arms at 15 billion. So Russia is exporting 15 billion dollars worth of arms to Africa, right? And this is not great, okay? Well, it is great in some sense, okay? In case there's going to be a war between Africa and France, okay, we can fight the bloody French, right, for colonizing Africa and destabilizing Africa and basically raping Africa of trillions of dollars every year. But the export of food to Africa is so disgraceful. Like I do not side with that at all. Africa has so much arable land to grow a lot of food, right? Saudi Arabia is farming in Africa. Okay, why can't Africa farm for themselves? Well, this is a disgrace that Africa is importing food. So it all boils down to our political leaders, okay, the weak political leaders, okay. This is why, you know, if you do have skills in farming, you would make a lot of money. If you could go back, send your expertise as an African diaspora, send your expertise to Africa and build, you know, and farm, you would make tons of money. All right, so it is the future, okay. The food war is coming. Okay, the food war is coming, right? So you need to gear up for this. Okay, there's going to be food shortage in the world. Okay, so those who have food will basically control everything. And I always say that we all need food. We all need food to grow. So we all need food to do anything, everything. Okay, food is what fuels us as human beings. All right, so I'll take that again. All right. We currently export to Africa 25 billion, 22.5 billion dollars worth of food, which is more than we export in arms at 15 billion dollars. In the next 4 to 5 years, I think we should be able to double this trade at least. So, I mean, all this is in, you know, all this is in what I say, all this is in plan, full effect. Okay, in the next 10 to 20 years, and this plan here, doubling and tripling trade with Russia, Africa's trade with Russia is only in 5 years. I've stated here, so you can see here Africa is going to be booming in the next 20 years. So the question is, do you have an Africa plan? Do you have an Africa plan? If you do not have an Africa plan, okay, start making one now. Okay. So the deadline is by the year 2030. If you do not have anything of substantial value in Africa, as someone of the diaspora, okay, you see all these foreign entities taking hold in Africa, and you miss out. You miss out. Okay, you miss out on your own homeland. So areas of investment: Russia has dominated arms sales in Africa, but this time Putin has promised further African cooperation without political or other interference. This comes as a reassurance to African states who have previously expressed concerns about dependence on China. So it's very competition is very, very important. Okay, so it seemed like China has a monopoly on Africa or in Africa, but Russia's trade can counter react to that. Okay, but I'll say they're all two sides of the same coin, Russia and China. So I mean, but then there's a bit of competition. We saw Turkey also investing heavy in Africa as well, especially in Ethiopia and East Africa, Turkey. So all these people everyone wants to invest in Africa. What is it about these people? What is it about Africa that everybody knows? Okay, everybody knows. Okay, the party that we have here in Australia or in England or in the United States or everywhere else is because of the exploitation of Africa. Do Africans know this? Do Africans know this? I bet they don't know. And it all boils down to education, lack of education. So Troy Dissol and Gaddafi was building his own automobile. Yeah. So I mean, the disruption of Libya, or the destruction of Libya was a major setback. Was a major setback for Africa, and it's probably set Africa back probably 20 years. If Gaddafi was still in power, going back almost 10 years now, okay, Africa would have improved majorly. Okay, but France saw to it that does not happen. Okay, so I mean, so we welcome Russia in Africa. Okay, we want this power balance in Africa. Okay, and this will counteract what's happening with France and France's colonization of Africa and stuff like that. Yeah, so I'll continue with this article. Russia is hoping to sign a potential military cooperation agreement with Ivory Coast. Yeah. So when you have Russia in Ivory Coast, that would actually create competition with France. And I did a stream a few months ago about how the eco currency is going to be adopted by January next year, January 2020. So all West African countries are going to get rid of the CFA. So what is France going to be doing now? So our eyes are going to be open on how France is going to switch its strategy to continue its rape of Africa, or rape of West Africa. So again, Russia is hoping to sign a potential military cooperation agreement with Ivory Coast, and Ivory Coast is bordering Ghana. So whatever is happening in Ivory Coast is going to affect Ghana as well. And we know Ivory Coast and Ghana collectively contribute to 60% of the world's 60 to 70% of the world's cocoa production. Okay, so and cocoa is the biggest GDP for Ghana as well, despite the gold, the diamond, the uranium, the iron ore, and everything else in Ghana. Okay, so the West African country is expected to send a delegation of 70 people to Sochi, including President Alassane Ouattara. In addition to military and security cooperation with Africa, Putin also pledged Russian commitment to combat the Ebola virus with aid and the training of African cadres by the Russian universities. So I stated before in the previous, Russia actually trains a lot of medical staff, African medical staff. Okay, Russia and China give Africa a lot of technology and education, whereas Europe wants to keep Africa in the dark. A continent where the sun shines the most is deemed as a dark continent. How does this make sense? How? Okay, it's only dark in the mind. in the mind because the people are asleep. Africans are asleep. How can you have so much mineral wealth in Africa and you be dependent on aid? How? So it's all have to be politics and our political leaders and stuff like that. So yeah, education is the only way. Okay, and by all means, we need to get rid of these religions because the religions put you in a docile state of mind. Okay, a dependency state of mind where you think that there will be a pie from the sky. God is going to crack open the sky and rain manna on you. It's not going to happen. It's all myths, fantasies, right? It's all fantasies. You have to work hard for everything. Right? So, I mean, the pressure is on by the growing population of Africa. Okay, the pressure is on, and all these Ebola, HIV/AIDS, and all these epidemic diseases and stuff like that in Africa is only to reduce the population of Africa, and all these things are man-made. Okay, there's documental proof that all these diseases were made by bioweapons to reduce the population of Africa. We know this, right? But they can't. Okay, Africa being the original people with our skin, the melanin that we have, we are capable of anything. Okay, they can try whatever they want with all the viruses, but our bodies are gonna, we're gonna be immune. Okay, we're gonna be immune to all these diseases, right? So and the couple of years ago when the Ebola scare came, they're like, oh, Africa has Ebola, blah 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 blah, and next thing they realize, okay, Ebola is now found in the United States. So I mean, they're doing all these things to their own demise. They try to destroy Africa, they end up destroying themselves. We know this. It's going to happen. Okay, it's going to happen. They'll end up imploding, and this is what's going to happen to them. All the enemies of Africa are going to implode. So going back to this article, and Russia, okay, I saw a documentary where Russia is developing a type of infrared light, okay, that would kill germs and bacteria in your hand. So it's sort of like a UV light. You put your hand in there, and it will basically kill all the the bacteria and stuff on your fingers. And Ebola is spread through bacteria from your hand and stuff like that, cholera and stuff like that. So these are going to be handy. These are going to be in people's homes and stuff like that, and or clinics, wherever, and it will get rid of all these diseases that we know of in Africa. So joint projects and are underway in extractive industries, agriculture, healthcare, and education. So this is what Russia focuses on. So Putin said in his opening remarks. So this is really great. So playing catch up with China. So like I stated before, okay, so this is really a competition between Russia and China now. So Russia had played a more crucial role in the continent during the Soviet era, supporting the independence movement and training government leaders in former Soviet client states such as Angola and Ethiopia, and in Ghana, and in Egypt, and a whole lot of places. So I stated that before. Moscow's relations with Africa deteriorated after the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991, with China taking over its continent's key foreign affairs or business partner. I mean, you know why the Soviet Union fell? Because of Afghanistan, and we know the United States did that. Okay, you can't have the Soviet Union breaking away. That's what Russia deployed troops to secure, Ukraine and all Georgia and stuff like that. But the United States is fighting proxy war with China. I mean, with Russia, and supplying arms to the people of Afghanistan to break away from the Soviet Union. And now the United States is fighting a war against the same people they funded, against the same people they funded in Afghanistan, and they cannot win. So the foolishness of the West is beyond me. All right, it's beyond me, and we see it happening even before our eyes in our lifetime. What's happening in Syria? The United States purposefully funded ISIS. Undeniable. The evidence is overwhelming, right? But Russia stays strong and overcoming. So this is really great. Okay, Russia's power balance is of epic proportion, and we welcome it. It's good for Africa, right? It's good for Africa. A stable Middle East is great for Africa, right? It's great for Africa. So in the year in 2000, Beijing established the forum on China-Africa cooperation pledge. So I did a stream. Also, I have China-Africa. The relationship must benefit Africa the most. Okay, so if you haven't seen it, go and have a look in my archives. Pledging tens of billions of dollars in Africa. So China is pledging over 140 billion, dollars in Africa, whereas the United States is only, pledged about 50 billion. So we all know what's going on. So yeah, the lead article here: China defense development work in Africa. So stories for other days. Okay, so that was the end of it. Okay, that was the end of it. Yeah, so let's see. I'll stop streaming. I'll stop sharing now. So yeah. Is anybody interested in jumping on? Jim Denson, thanks for joining the stream. I appreciate you coming through. These next 10 years are going to set the stage for the 100 or even the 1,000 years to come. Okay, the future is in Africa. Okay, the next 10, 20, 30 years to come. Okay, Africa is going to keep rising. Okay, and it's all in the population of Africa. As Africa's population is growing, okay, and education is on the increase. People are getting more ever educated. It won't look good on you to remain stupid. Okay, it won't look good. Even the African, it won't look good on African heads of state to continue cooning. It won't look good on them at all. And the what's it called? The UN General Assembly, okay, that recently took place in September. Okay, so the African heads of states were not being heard, were not being listened to. Nobody wanted to even attend their speaking sessions. Okay, so it was a big shame for African heads of states. It was a big shame. Okay, so they're waking up to the fact that the West don't have their interests at heart. Okay, so they have to go alone as African people, united. A united agenda, united goal. And it was beautiful to see this happen here in the Russia-African summit. Nearly all the African heads of states attended, okay, or sent delegations. So it was beautiful. All 54 African heads of states were present, or in delegations were present. So it's really good. It speaks volume on the state of affairs of Pan-Africanism. It speaks volume on the state of affairs of the African Union. Africa is rising. All right, so I think I've done enough talking now. Is anybody interested in jumping on? Okay, you know my email address. Okay, I'll put it in anyway. Shivdrana. Shivdrana at shivdrana@hotmail.com. Okay. Send me an email if you'd like to come on. All right. If you want to come talk to Children, I've got 10 more minutes. I've got 10 minutes. Okay. If you're interested in jumping on, I'll be more than happy to have you on. Right. Let's see. Yeah, so how did you all like this? Okay, how did you all like it? Sun Temple, thank you for joining the stream. I missed your comment there. Africa, America and Europe did not like the former president of Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe, because he later in life defended the Black African people and their land and resources. Of course, yeah. So anybody who would go against the status quo, okay. Anybody who will go against who would go against the agenda of the U.S. and the the UK divided kingdom and the European Union. Okay, anybody who would go against that, okay, as an African is in trouble with these powers, because it's taking food from their mouths. Okay, it's stopping the exploitation is tantamount to war. Okay, because your essence, you're taking food away from them. So we're going to be seeing a lot of proxy wars being fought over Russia and China involvement in Africa. Yeah, the United States is done for. Okay, it's in ever decline. Okay, the European Union is in decline. Okay, when Germany's economy is in decline, Australia's economy is declined. Okay, we all because Africa is rising. All because Africa is rising, and the Europeans are no longer able to exploit Africa like they used to in the past thousands of years, especially in the last 100 years. Okay, the wealth of Europe, the wealth of the United States was all built. The culture, everything was built on the suffering, the blood, toil, and tears of African people. Right, and it's time that Africa takes control of its resources, from Morocco to Egypt, from to South Africa, to Sierra Leone, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Djibouti. Okay, all right, Mozambique, Tanzania, Angola, Zimbabwe, everywhere else, Zaire, oh, no longer Zaire, Zambia, the Congos, okay, Niger, Libya. Okay, we need to unite. We need to unite to ensure our future. Okay, as a people, it's coming. Okay, it's coming. Okay, it's coming. It's the only solution forward. Anyway, so I'm still waiting. Okay, I'm still waiting. Anybody who is interested in jumping on, email me chiefdrano@hotmail.com. All right, chiefdrano@hotmail.com. All right. Otherwise, I will end the stream right here. Okay, so I see people are leaving now. So all right, so yeah, if you made it this far, okay, please, those of you catching the replay, okay, if you made it this far, please leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. If there's something that I skipped over, if something that I missed, okay, let me know, okay, and I'll educate myself on that. But yeah, we're all learning, okay, we're all learning, and I appreciate all of you for your support. Okay, I appreciate all of you for your support. Okay, thank you. All right, thank you so much for supporting Chidrano's channel. The channel is growing. Okay, and I need 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Okay, so yeah, so yeah, without much ado, okay, I will call it the day. Okay, I'll end the stream right now, and I want to say thank you all for your support. Okay, thank you all for your support. I am improving daily. Okay. Ryan Names, I appreciate you coming through. Troy, Disole. Thank you for joining the stream. Thanks for all your contribution. Africa is working with China. I also believe that Africa should work more with Russia and the country of Iran. All right. So yeah, Africa should work with Iran. So which I agree. Naima Bakna, thanks for all your support as always. Troy, so I did not know that China buried nuclear waste in Africa. I believe that all African countries should create strict environmental laws. Okay, so yeah, we know there's a lot of illegal mining in Africa by China, some Chinese people, rogue Chinese people, and also illegal logging and stuff like that, cutting down the forest and stuff like that. So. Yeah, I did see the white people left. Most of them left the building when the Africans were speaking. during the UN General Assembly last month. Yep, that's true. And also, Sun Temple, America and Europe did not like the former president of Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe. Yeah, because Robert Mugabe, similarly, same as the former Libyan president Muammar Gaddafi, spoke against European imperialism and wanted Africa to take control of its own natural resources. So anybody who is doing that is a target for the West. And this is why unity, when we are united as an African people, okay, Pan-African people, they cannot target one person. Okay, they have to come for us all. Okay, and it will make it very difficult for them. All right, so as the saying always goes, okay, united we stand, divided we fall. Okay, in Africa, in Ghana especially, there's a saying, there's a proverbial saying that when you take a single strand of broomstick, okay, or broom, when you take a single strand of broom, you can easily break it, but when you join them together, not even the strongest person can break them. In the past, okay, they still do it, okay, tons and tons and tons, of shipping vessels were pulled or are being pulled by ropes that are made from fibers of plants like sisal. Okay, but you take one strand, you can easily snap it, but when you join all these strands, you weave them together, it's nearly impossible to break all these. So I mean, we know what the power is, where the power is when we unite as a people. We know it. Okay, it's a no-brainer, it's common sense at this stage. Okay, so yeah, we need to apply common sense. Okay, and it comes through education. Okay, we humans are like vessels. Whatever we feed ourselves is what's going to be, what's going to come out is what we're going to emit. Right, so if you feed yourself with BS, you're going to be emitting BS. Okay, so if you feed yourself with greatness, okay, you will emit greatness. Okay, so it is what it is. Okay, what you put in is what you get out. All right, family. Okay, on this note, I will end the stream. Okay, thank you all again. Okay, salute. Okay, Africa on the rise. Okay, Pan-Africanism. Okay, one. All right, one. Take care. Peace. Peace, family.